Okay, this one wants us to look at the 8th and 9th paragraphs, which is when Alec and James are having a conversation about the logbooks. And Alec explains to James, we don't track the ones who work in exchange for their passage. And then he says he expected James to lose interest, but still James hovered over his shoulder, staring intently at the book. Alec couldn't figure out why James was so interested. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out what the purpose of this exchange is. To show how James feigns interest in the logbooks to avoid his work? It doesn't seem like he's feigning or pretending interest because Alec is surprised by his interest. To show how careless their father was about keeping accurate records. No, there's nothing about that in there, so we can eliminate that option. To show what gives James the idea to go looking for his father. That sounds like that could be the right answer, but let's look at the next one just in case. To show how little James understands about shipbuilding. That is a possibility, but we do know after reading the whole passage that James does go looking for his father, and that could definitely be the purpose here. So let's try that. Awesome. Okay, which quote from the story best supports the idea that James has gotten an idea from looking at the logbooks? Oh, I thought there were more crew members than that, said James. Okay, let's see. He expected James to lose interest, but still James hovered over his shoulder, staring intently at the book. That could support the idea that James has gotten an idea at that point. That's when the audience, I think, figures that out. Maybe it was just seeing their dad's handwriting again. It didn't matter. So that's when Alec is speculating the reason why James is interested. So that doesn't really tell us that James has gotten an idea. He was growing impatient. Will you let me get back to work now? Yeah, that also doesn't tell us that James has gotten an idea. So the one that refers to James and his interest in the logbooks would be this one right here, because James is still hovering over, showing that he's interested in figuring out why that is for some reason. Okay, let's try another. All right, this one tells us to review the 13th and 14th paragraphs. So let's scroll down to 13 and 14. Okay, so Alec is getting emotional. He's talking about where his dad might be, and they think that maybe he's dead, or at least that's what Alex thinks. Alec isn't sure if he even believed what he said, but it was easier than waiting. The last letter they had received from Father was from England. Another ship had gone down, but it wasn't clear if he had been on that one either. Alec didn't know what to think, so he mostly tried not to think about it. So we know from these paragraphs that Alec and James don't know exactly what happened to their father, and that it's a sensitive topic for the two of them. And we also know that James is trying to avoid thinking about it too much. So let's see what the question asks us. How is Alec handling his emotions about his missing father? He is hiding his happiness about having his father's job. That one doesn't really seem to fit. He doesn't seem to be hiding his happiness. He's pretty clearly emotional and not really hiding any emotions there. He is focusing on work and avoiding his emotions. That's possible because it does say that he doesn't want to think about it. He wasn't sure if he believed what he said, but in a way it was easier than waiting. That seems to support this right here. Let's look at the other options, though. He blames James for his father's disappearance. Alec's not blaming James. He is secretly planning to rescue his father. Alec is not secretly planning to rescue his father. That's James who ends up doing that, and that also isn't referred to in these paragraphs. So this would be the best answer. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's do one more. Review the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd paragraphs. Let's scroll down. Those are towards the end. Okay, I can't stand it, Alex, and you act like you don't even think about it. Not Alec. Alex. Alec. Okay, so in this paragraph, we see that James is expressing emotions to Alec that Alec was not previously aware of. I do care, but James, if you left like this, you would be doing the same thing to us, said Alec. So Alec is showing concern for his brother here, and then James nods in agreement. So they have a conversation about James going away to look for the father, and Alec shows that he cares about James for kind of the first time in this passage. What is it that James can't stand? Okay, let's see where it says that. If you left like this. Oh, this is this part. I can't stand it, Alec, and you act like you don't even think about it, like you don't care. So, is it having to pretend to be happy all the time, not knowing if their father is alive or dead, being treated like a child, or not being allowed to go look for their father? So this is at the beginning of this. So he says, and you act like you don't even think about it, like you don't care. So in that part, he's talking about the father's disappearance, right? So what he can't stand is not knowing. I could see why some people might think it's this one, but that would make more sense if he said, I can't stand it towards the end.
Check your email. Nope. Check your email.
All right. And we are done. New one, so perfect timing. I hope that this recorded because I can't even figure out like where do the recordings go once they've been recorded? Like I don't see.
If you click your little screencastify icon, I think it pops up.
Oh.